hate it, but in 6 months you'll be out of the business. And I could have, put my tail behind me, between my legs, and ran out and never came back. But I took that as a challenge. And I remember saying to myself, you're going to eat those words. I remember telling myself, hell or haywire, I swear, if I crawl on my knee with blood coming out, that guy was going to eat his words. And 3 years later, he was calling me to have lunch and what I could do to help him. And I hate to come up here and pat myself on the back, but I just want the young people to know that there's going to be obstacles along the way. There's going to be challenges, and you're just a Yemeni. After years of study, I finished 6 years of schooling at Wayne State University, but I never stopped. I got into mentoring programs. I got into coaching, where I was paying $1,000 a month for 3.5 years for this company to better myself in my profession. You're just a Yemeni. You come to realize it's nothing more than a story. You understand me? I mean, you got to understand. All he said was, you're just a Yemeni. But what I took from that was that I'm no good, that I came from poverty, that I came from a village where I was born in my grandmother's house. You get it? But all it was you're just a Yemeni, right? So don't be careful what stories you put behind you're just a Yemeni. It's nothing more than you're just a Yemeni. Go out there and just conquer the world. I love what Ahmad said. Having audacious goals is always what helped me move on. Okay? But I thank you.
A really good story, very inspiring. And I think we have one last question. Okay, two.
My name is Khalid Alawdi. I have a question. During the segment that you had, you and Bassam, you both mentioned the necessity to educate and keep the awareness through parents and individuals. Nothing was mentioned about the society, and as part of the society is the peer pressure among all these kids. How can we promote a good peer pressure? Is there any alternative for these bad ones that are out there? What is all these organizations and clubs are doing to promote that good peer pressure among kids?
I think there are a variety of things that can be done. For example, at Access, we're using sports as a hook to draw them into the sports program, and then, hopefully enter them into some kind of academic program. And we also know that sometimes we have very good leaders, whether they're negative leaders or positive leaders. We have leaders in the community. So we want to turn that negative leadership into positive leadership. So what we've been doing, for example, is trying to identify those that are considered leaders, again, whether good or bad, bringing them into the organization. And for those of you from here, you probably know that we have a brand new youth center. And one of my visions for this youth center is to have a completely youth-driven space where the youth decide what programs will be implemented. They'll evaluate the programs. I want them to have some type of grant-making program where they decide what comes into the organization and what goes out of the organization. So I think that's the way to draw youth. Again, responsibility is huge. If you expect more, you'll get more. And that's really the idea. And I would recommend, for all of you, if you have the opportunity to join an organization and kind of maybe work around that model of getting the youth to be decision makers rather than creating programs for them and just doing stuff to them rather than with them. And I think we had one last question. Abbas?
Just a comment. This is in response to the you just Yemeni comment. I think if someone says that or someone believes that, we need to say it back, proudly that yes, I am a Yemeni, and either read the book of the Yemeni, the Journey of the Yemeni book of Dr. Rashid. That's telling you what it means, what a Yemeni means. So it's just be proud of who you are. There is a challenge. If someone to the whole Yemeni community, and if someone says any discouraging word, it's either two choices. You either get discouraged and you you feel the rest of your life, or and you stay as you are, or you take it as a challenge, like like Mr. Shani did, and move on in your life and prove them wrong, and they'll come back to you and they will applause you later. So that's
a very good point. You guys include, but just one last comment on that, because I think it's so important. I think it's our responsibility as parents, as family members, to instill a confidence in our youth so that if they do hear it, it's nothing more than just a story, which was what was just said. So I think it's really our responsibility, because we can't control how others react to us, how others perceive us. We don't know what happens to our children once they're outside of our homes, but at least if in our homes we give them that confidence, then they know how to react and they don't internalize that whole story. Thank you.
I am a Yemeni. I hope those words resonate in your head throughout the rest of today. We're going to go ahead and dismiss you for lunch and for salah. You can just go ahead and filter out. They're going to be in, I think, it says the Great Lakes Ballroom in the Southfield Room. I don't know if we have any final comments by Azif, but
the lunch will be held in the 2 rooms here, and also again the salah will be held in the Greenfield and the Southfield. So inshallah we will resume the program at what time again? 2 o'clock exactly. Inshallah we'll resume the program here to this room. Thank you so much and enjoy the lunch.
She is an environmental engineer in New York City, Department of Environmental Protection. Dr. Khalid.
Assalamu alaikum. They put me just right after lunch, so I can catch you guys when you're sleeping. Carbs are high. But anyway, going into my presentation, I'm going to give you a little brief about our organization, the Yemeni American Association, not affiliated with AAYSP. We have some data. There. Yemeni American Association was established in 1962. It evolves through the years. I served as the vice president for the last 7 years. We have election actually next week for new administration. We're moving on. Because I'll say back in December of '09, Shaq decided we should all get together and kind of discuss issues that impact the community. We said, all right, we needed additional board members to kind of come in and take over, and fresh ideas, fresh memories. There was about 10 of us that actually gathered. Then we decided, okay, let's do it next weekend. Maybe call another additional 10 people who wants to serve. The following week, I got there before everybody, like 10 minutes before, I believe. And when I got to the Americas, or the center, there were about 300 Yemenis. And I looked, and I was like, I didn't believe my eyes. So I called our president, Abdus-Salam. He had the key. Abdus-Salam, there are 300 members. Like, stop exaggerating. They only, say 20, 30, about 300 members. He got in. Actually, the building is his. We were using it as part of his in-service kind. So we couldn't gather. One of the guys said, "Well, I'm ready to take over. Hand over the key." Just like that. We kind of looked at him and it's like, well, he gave a little speech. It's like, what do you guys want? Everybody said they want an election. And we went on with the election. Shaq and I sat together and we said, well, how do we take advantage of all these turmoil that are going on? So we said, well, you know what? We could have them, since we're a for-profit organization. We have another sister organization for profit, Sabah. Sabah is actually established about 4 years ago, and we won actually one of the best nonprofit organizations in the city of New York. We had an award, and usually they have about 500 organizations that enter, and we were one of the 5 organizations to won the award, that they see a lot of prospect of success. But anyway, the form that was put together, this form, and we had about 25 candidates for election. The idea was to, collect as much as we can, because during the meeting we had issues of we don't know what the community needs. In the SEBA organization, we opened a place, we had educators in the system that volunteered their time for tutoring and all these. Not a single Yemeni showed up. I mean it, not a single Yemeni showed up. We had Mexicans that were coming in. We helped them out. We realized there's other issues. In New York City, most of the people there are store owners, merchants, so they had issues with taxes. The Department of Finance imposed very heavy penalty. They probably, I'll say that the next 4 years, they probably generate around $50 million out of the Yemenis alone. So we said, you know what, let's bring an expert on taxes and kind of teach them. We had ads in all the mosques. We have 450 mosques, by the way, in New York City. Not a single person showed up. The guy was there for 8 hours. So we didn't know. So this survey or this form is kind of a need assessment what the community need. So they created the form, and notice the Arabic version on the bottom. It asks a question: what do you want from the community? I mean, what do you want us? We're open for business. What do you want us to do for you? And I'm actually the one that actually collected 1,800 of these. They gave them to me. I had some interns put them in a special database, Excel. And not a single person have an idea what they want. All they want is mediation, conflict resolution. Some of them actually say about 30 of them. The rest left it all blank. And they just tell you they don't know what they want from, or they want an organization. We have an office, but they don't know what they want. What I did with the data, I converted that into by zip code. You can see the 5 boroughs of New York City, starting toward the south portion that's in the bottom, Staten Island, and you have Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, and all the way in the top is the Bronx. All these forms, the 1,800 forms, we created the map based on zip code and kind of showed where the Yemenis live in New York City. And what's so interesting about this map is that a lot of the Yemenis live, or not only live, but also near their stores in commercial land use. A lot of and areas that is, I should call low socioeconomical zones. That tells you, and I think this is related to the AAYSP, is that the dropout rate in those areas are very, very high. They're probably the highest in the city. Now, if you look at areas toward the up portion, those are rich areas. Very little Yemenis scattered. You don't see Yemenis living there. Only in areas that have business establishment, high crime areas, again, low socioeconomic conditions, very high poverty rate. And that tells you that a lot of these people, where will they end up? I'm a strong believer that nature nurture, and it tells you that it's their future being in this neighborhood are a little sketchy. From the survey that we got, Yemeni American in the 5 boroughs of New York City, as you can see, Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, and Manhattan. Manhattan, Queens, and Brooklyn are basically they're the highest. You hear the Bronx as very high crime area. Brooklyn, Manhattan is kind of the financial capital of the world. Queens is kind of a suburb. Staten Island is like far away. And others, kind of, they left it blank. They didn't answer the questions out of the 1,800. The legal status. This is really interesting stuff. In reality, when we file the census, we don't file either Yemenis or even sometimes